Welcome to Inside Sim Racing and Beyond the Gloves, Episode 9. I'm John Sable, joined again, as always, with Billy Strange. How you doing, Billy?
Good, how are you?
Oh, just keeping very, very busy.
Right? You're about to go somewhere. Where are you about to go?
That is correct. So I am about to embark on a trip out to the land of angels, out to Los Angeles and E3 2017. So wanted to come back on Beyond the Gloves since we've been off for now a couple of months now with the show, but come back on a topic of E3 and what we are expecting or slash hoping to see at E3 2017. That's going to be starting essentially the same day as this video comes out. And yeah, so we're going to talk sim racing at E3. How's that sound, Billy?
Sounds like a plan. Sounds like something we should be doing.
It does sound like something we should be doing. And since Billy's already done this once on some other show that I won't name, that he went whoring around with, he's ready.
I just put myself out there, that's all.
Actually, I'm referencing Billy jumped in with Team VVV on. Did I say too many V's? Did I say it right? Team VVV. There we go.
There you
go. He jumped in on their E3 special previewing, and it sounds like Alan from Team VVV is going to be out there at E3, so we'll have to catch up with him and all the other people.
He's already there.
Okay, there you go. So that's kind of the fun thing about E3 is different people come out. They actually get to meet in person that normally we see just virtually. I know I'm already scheduled to go hang out with Jordan Greer from GT Planet, so it's always nice to connect with him. And then, yeah, we'll see who else is out there. I mean, definitely, obviously, you see everyone from the software and hardware side, which, by the way, let's go ahead and roll on into this. And I'm going to talk about software and hardware, kind of divide up into two categories and just talk out what we think we're going to see. So first up, let's talk about Microsoft, because they are going to have the first, I guess you can say, press conference of the show this year, Sunday afternoon. So on Microsoft's side, there's going to be Xbox Scorpio that's going to be unveiled, or whatever it's going to be called name-wise. It's going to be the new, more powerful Xbox. And then we're hoping from that announcement we'll be hearing about Forza Motorsport 7, the Forza title that we assume exists, because, Billy, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think this has been officially confirmed yet.
No, it hasn't. I believe it's more than likely it's under a different code name, because I think their shtick is that they like to not call it that if you ask Microsoft about it, so that when it's unveiled, it's a big surprise, and it's like, this not really a surprise. You guys have done this every other year for the past, 10 years now, or ish?
Yes.
Whoa, are we rolling up on 12?
Well,
it's something like that.
Yeah, it has to be something like that.
So yeah, you're pretty certain that Microsoft and Turn 10 are going to debut Forza Motorsport 7, along with the Xbox Scorpio. I wish actually they'd keep Scorpio in the name somewhere, like Xbox One Scorpio or something like that, because it's kind of a cool name.
I do too, by the way, but I am afraid that they're going to, the marketing team's going to get on this and just butcher it somehow.
Yeah, well, I joked and said Xbox One Super Plus Edition, or I don't know, something silly like that.
Well, they're not quite Nintendo, so they don't have fun names like that.
Oh, well, maybe. So anyway, they're more than likely going to show off Forza Motorsport 7 with the Xbox Scorpio, just because racing games typically show off hardware fairly well, so they want to make everything look sparkly and shiny, get you to buy one of those 4K TVs. Or if you're a 1080p TV owner, at least you'll have some super sampling and possibly better frame rate.
Sure. Yeah, and I mean, I will say I believe it was a few months ago, they let the what was it, not the Foundry, Digital Foundry guys go and get to do some testing on the Scorpio hardware, and their test bench essentially was one of the Forza titles, and I think they went out to Seattle, and I think they were at Turn 10 I don't think they said it was Forza Motorsport 7, quote unquote, but I think it was like Forza Motorsport 6 or something running in like a test environment in 4K on
Yes.
Scorpio. So yeah, I mean you're right. More likely than not, it's Forza Motorsport 7 is going to be kind of the poster child of look at these new graphics. And spinning this forward, what I'm hoping for is on Monday I'm going to be attending both Microsoft and Sony events. That's going to be more of a hands-on opportunity, and I'm hoping there's going to be a hands-on opportunity with Forza Motorsport 7. Not only just having a whole bunch of different monitors set up and using a controller, but hopefully it'll have a simulator or two present that you'll be able to jump on and do some real driving versus having to go and try to jump on a simulator on the show floor, which is always very difficult at E3, and then maybe even more difficult this year now that the general public is able to attend.
Right. Good luck with that.
Oh, man, that's going to be, I think it's like 15,000 tickets for the general public.
Yeah, it's something like that. So good luck getting your hands on time there. And so do we think they're going to still do a PC release now that they've got the Scorpio involved?
I hope they do, and I don't know, that is a really good question. It'd be interesting to know, and I'll have to, now that you brought it up, I'll have to put this question to maybe the guys at Turn 10 while I'm there at E3. How successful Forza Horizon 3 has been on the PC? Because back when Horizon 3 went on the PC on Windows 10, that was one of multiple games that did a transition where they went from being Xbox only to then showing up on Windows 10. And it was kind of shown as like this is going to be the future, partially because just the Xbox One hardware-wise is a bit of a struggle. So you're right, now that we have Scorpio, that's going to be almost, I mean, probably, let's just say PC quality. It's not the highest end of PC quality these days, but based off of the specs we've been hearing, it'd be like a solid mid-range PC that should be able to run single screen pretty comfortably. It'll be interesting to see if that idea gets kind of falls to the wayside because it's not necessary, or if they do keep pushing that direction. But I hope they do.
Right. Yeah, well, as long as they implement PC style habits, I guess, along with it as far as multiple inputs, supporting a variety of different wheels. Be nice to get your triple screen supported there. Even my ultra wide, which I think in the beginning was not even supported. So if they can get things that are along the PC side going, then it'll be worth it. Otherwise, it may not be a road to go down for them. So moving forward, real quick, if we can do this, what do we hope to get out of Forza Motorsport 7? Assuming that's what they're going to call it. What do we hope to get out of Forza Motorsport 7 that we haven't got in the last couple iterations?
For me, it's physics. I think Forza Motorsport 6 did a lot of things right in terms of number of tracks, the accuracy of the tracks, the amount of cars, variety of cars. Even going through the career, I didn't have really much complaints about it overall. I enjoyed Forza Motorsport 6. So 7, it just comes down to getting a more realistic driving experience. And then also the little things that we harp on a lot. We couldn't adjust field of view in 6, and they park you in the back seat of these cars. And just from a day in to day out usage of play, that gets tiring and taxing on people, especially us in the sim racing side of things. So yeah, I mean, for me, it's let's get the physics a little more on the believable side, and then just little things like adjusting field of view.
I agree.
Okay, so with that, let's go ahead and roll on to the next topic, and that's Sony. And then when you talk about Sony and PlayStation, that automatically rolls into the Gran Turismo series. So last year at E3 was not the big coming out for GT Sport. That was in a previous event they had in London in May of 2016, but it was the first chance that me and a lot of people in the gaming industry had a chance to go hands-on with GT Sport. Obviously then, I felt like it had potential, but it still felt like a long ways off, and so when the release date of, Q4 of 2016 slid into 2017.
I was going to say, wasn't it like December? I thought it was going to get released in either November or December.
I think it was November, and then it was like December, and then it was Q1 2017, I thought. Or maybe they said 2017.
I think they just said 2017.
I think
I don't remember them giving a date.
So here we are now in June of 2017. No release date, but GT Sport's going to be there again. I'm already set up to go and do a closed door session thing and chat with Kaz. All that good stuff. But Billy, what are you hoping to see out of GT Sport at E3?
The main thing is, why should I be interested in playing this game? And I know we haven't done a video on it because the embargo's been kind of weird, but yes. I've played the beta and purely haven't posted anything just because we don't want to. It's not that you can't, but often, especially when you're kind of a more well-known site, you can kind of upset people if you're not supposed to be doing that. So I've stayed away from putting anything online, but my opinions are very strong. I think this title doesn't do a whole lot for the standard GT fan. People have a brand recognition with this title, and so what they really need to do is show everybody, including those people that love the single player, which is probably the majority of GT fans that have kind of grown up with it, why they should be interested in this title. Do not show photo mode. Do not show how many different colors of suits that you can have. That's all fine, but that's only, a very small portion of the experience. What really needs to happen is, why should we, as a buying public, be excited about GT Sport? And I don't think they've really conveyed that at all.
I agree. It's I said it on our live show this week that I was curious to see what the sales would be. That I had too many sprint car
shirts?
That did come up. That was funny.
That was funny.
I said that I'm curious to see what the sales will be in the PlayStation 4 between GT Sport and Project Cars 2, and we'll get to Project Cars 2 here coming up in a little bit. Just because GT Sport, I agree with you. I don't really know which direction it's going to go, and I have not driven it in beta yet. I don't know if I officially have access yet. I'm supposed to have it, but anyway, it's gonna be interesting to see what they say at E3 and then what I'm able to drive. I'm also curious to see, and I've kept up with what's available on beta. At E3 for me, I'm hoping to experience something new that's different from what's currently out there in beta. Maybe even just new tracks or new cars, or maybe get
right.
I don't know, a taste of something of what the career mode's gonna be like. Just some kind of details that's, I don't know, showing that it's gonna be a complete, thought-out game by the end of 2017, when it really has to be released now. I guess it can push, but seriously.
Yeah, they've really got to do something to show what is available in the title, and like I've stated kind of earlier, real quick, is that you have an existing fan base, and this is almost like a sidestep. So the problem becomes that people see the super hardcore folks that watch our show and other shows, or visit an IGN on a regular basis, something like that. They're gonna kind of know what they're in for. But the more casual fan, like say my brother, that likes GT Sport or the GT series but doesn't necessarily keep up with it, you're gonna see it on a shelf, kind of have an expectation that there's gonna be this single player aspect to it, where you can tune up your cars and play with paint schemes and that kind of thing, and it's not going to be in there. And I still would be surprised if they don't push this back or change it somehow and call it GT7 or include a more robust single-player experience, because you're going to lose out on a lot of fan base. And usually the title that fails is because of the title before it. So it's going to be an uphill battle, I think, for them to gain any traction. Like I said, and like we both said, they're really, really going to have to show why this is going to be worth $60 to the general consumer.
Yep. Nope. I agree. They got it on both sides. They got to prove, like you said, why the career mode is worth for the person just going into the Best Buy and buying it off the shelf, and then they got to prove to us why we need to drive GT Sport versus the plethora of other racing titles out there that have substantially stepped up the game, the industry, everything. So yeah, that's gonna be interesting. And I'm honestly kind of going into it preparing myself to be disappointed or low expectations, let's say, just because.
Which is sad to say. I want GT. I want GT Sport to do well. Yeah. But yeah, you probably shouldn't have them too high. Yeah. Well, real quick, they got rid of the single player, that little mode in the beta. I think that's a good telltale. They wanted people to focus on the multiplayer, and I think that's where their focus is.
Interesting. Yep. Well, hopefully that is more cleared up in whatever presentation I see this year. As long as this presentation doesn't include about
you're gonna have
25
an hour and a
minutes
half
of photo mode.
No, you're gonna have an hour and a half of photo mode.
Oh man, that was a scary thing last year. It was like a 45-minute presentation, which is long enough, and then a lot of it was on photos. So
it's unfortunate. It really is a disconnect, and I hope they rein it back in. So,
yep. Okay, moving on. Now we're gonna kind of go with my schedule at E3, and on Wednesday midday, I'm set up to go and check out F1 2017. This is a curious title for me so far. It's due to be released, I'm checking my notes here, August 25th, which is along the same time frame as last year. But going to E3 last year, we had a good number of previews of what F1 2016 was going to be. I went in there, got to drive at a couple tracks. Overall, went away pretty positive at what they were talking about in terms of what I felt, physics going in the right direction and some different details they had. What was interesting is I sat down with, I'm missing his name off the top of my head now. Lee Mathers, yes. And he talked about things for F1 2016 on the PC that you'd be able to export tire temperatures and things like that for people that really get hardcore into the leagues. And I don't know if those features ever came to fruition.
I'm not aware of those existing.
Yeah,
they might, but I'm just not aware of it.
Yeah, I know in-game they kind of gave you a little more information, but he made it sound like that stuff was going to be, pulled off Excel sheet almost like. But anyway, I'll have to touch base with him again. But leading into this year, F1 2017, so far we have seen 4 teaser cars, and they are classic F1 cars, and these aren't in-game videos or shots. These are very fancy renders, and we know nothing else about this game. So with that said, Billy, what are you hoping I see at E3 with F1 2017?
Well, number one, the biggest thing is hopefully you get your hands on at least a few of the cars, the modern cars that are going to be in there, along with 1 or 2 tracks, and hopefully you're going to be able to tell a difference when you drive between the cars. It's going to be interesting because it is a decidedly different car model than F1 2016, so that can be scary and exciting all at the same time, provided that they get that correctly. And I'm pretty sure they're gonna get it as long as they continue on the same path that they started on last year. For me, I love the classic stuff, so especially the McLaren and the Williams car that was sitting in there. I love that era car. I grew up with that era of cars, so my only concern is I think you had actually mentioned on Twizzlers that how does it get implemented? And my thing would be, hopefully there's more than one car to race against in a field. I mean, I would love it if they had a handful of cars from each era, and provided that everything's under new management, we just might get that. But then again, you're talking about only a year turnaround, so I don't know where my expectations should really lie with this iteration.
Yeah, that is a good point of just a year turnaround, because to recap, F1 2015 came out, showed promise in physics and force feedback. Force feedback was much improved. Came out super buggy, and it was missing a bunch of stuff. No safety car, no career, just a lot of stuff missing. 2016 came back, working on fixing those sins. It didn't come out all buggy, little things, but nothing major. And then again, like you said, improvements in physics. And then they put in the career and safety cars and all stuff you're supposed to have. And the race weekend stuff even got really interesting, where I really liked it. So yeah, the question is, does 2017 now become just let's get the new cars in the game?
Right, a building blocks here, yeah.
Yeah. And then let's throw in these retro cars. So like there's something else that's like a new feature that you can put as a bullet point on the box cover, because we're not really going to have new bullet points in terms of the weekend, the career, or anything like that. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Something else also with classic cars, it'll be curious to know if they'll support things like an H-pattern shifter for driving the the 88 McLaren.
Yes. Yep.
But
Hope so.
Will they do that for just, let's say, one car? I think all the other cars are paddle shifters. Was Williams still?
You know what? I get so foggy in that era that I think the Ferrari was the first one that had paddle shifters. I don't know if that Williams car had, if it was paddle or if it was just a sequential in place of an H pattern.
It might have been sequential. That's funny. No
Might have been
paddle shifters. Yeah, no paddle shifters, but active suspension.
Yes, that was really cool. Those active suspension cars were bananas. If you ever saw them they did a video where they're standing up off the ground, and they're showing the car move off the ground, the suspension move back and forth and do all this. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, I first saw that in the Senna documentary, and yeah, that was just wild. And the question is, it's like, are they going to do that in the game?
Right.
My guess is no, but who knows?
Yeah.
So yeah, F1 2017, a lot of question marks for a title that gonna need to be like, finished in 2 months' time, so it can go through all the steps it needs to get games printed.
Very close to the same situation that Dirt 4 was in when Paul Coleman came on. So, they'll get it done.
True. That is true. But at least Dirt 4, we saw like something in, I believe, like February there, where again we've seen no in-game footage. So that'll be interesting. But
we haven't even seen a modern car, have we?
No, we haven't seen a modern car.
I didn't think so.
We have seen 4 renders of classic cars with audio that might be from the game, but probably more likely is from like real life. I don't know.
Okay, fair enough.
So, okay, we'll put a pin on F1 2017. Hopefully by next week, all these things will be answered, and we'll see if they let me film stuff. Last year I went in there and I couldn't even film myself driving, so that was annoying. Next up, NASCAR Heat 2. I think we'll go quickly over this one. It's due out September 12th. It's going to be coming out PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. I know when they first announced it, they were kind of like, weren't very clear if it was coming on the PC, and I've looked since then, and it is coming out on the PC.
Okay.
Billy, you drove NASCAR Heat 1 last year. I honestly spent very little time with it. What are you hoping out of the second iteration?
Make everything better. I don't mean to be a jerk about it. I'm a firm believer in put your best foot forward. Your first impressions should be the best. And I understand they probably got the license late, and they didn't have a whole lot of time to work on it as far as trying to get it up to snuff with modern standards. I just feel they used a lot of shortcuts and assets from older games that they had in the hopes of just making it a building block. The problem is you did not release an early access game. You released a what was it, 40? I don't think it was 60 when it was released. I don't remember.
I think it was $40.
Okay, so you released a $40 game, in my eyes, that was not complete. Had very archaic rubber banding AI. Engine RPMs weren't right on super speedways. The engine sound was not correct. They had some good ideas in there, but the career mode was very rigid. It just did not allow. Some of the things that they did were great. I mean, it did have wheel support. I did not care for the force feedback, but at least we had some wheel support, and we had you could like create your own character and that kind of thing. So as a concept, it works fine. In execution, it did not. So I'm really hoping that this extra year that they've got now really nails what a NASCAR season or career is like. And who knows if they're going to put anything in there like trucks or the lower level leagues like the modifieds or anything like that. But at least if those aren't in there, just get the cup cars right. And I think you'll make a lot of people happy. And hopefully it doesn't get overshadowed by anybody that's on the fence when Project Cars 2 comes out.
Yeah, and we'll get to Project Cars 2 in that release date pretty soon, because NASCAR Heat 2 is going to be bumping up right against that. And
yeah.
I guess you kind of think that it should be different audiences. But yeah, NASCAR Heat 2, what I'm hoping for at E3 is that I can play with a wheel. I mean, I'm going that basic on my expectations, because I don't know. I just see this as one of these situations where it's like, oh, here it is, come play our new game, and it's a bunch of controllers hooked up to PlayStation 4s on a TV.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm hoping that I can at least play with a wheel. And like you said, there's improvements that need to be made everywhere, and I guess that's going to be the big sell this year, because NASCAR Heat 1 came out with a pack or an update where you can go and get the 2017 cars and everything. So if you want the 2017 feeling, it was already there. So I guess the selling point here is going to be actually having physics sets that feel right, good force feedback, having AI. Like you said, that was a major bummer with the rubber banding. And then, I mean, let's say another thing that'd be for NASCAR fans is having a season mode, career mode, what have you, that has the actual new rules for 2017 with
Yes.
all the stage stuff and the calculator you got to break out to calculate the points after every race in a season, and then a playoff, and don't get me started. NASCAR has become way too confusing. So yeah, there's definitely plenty of room for improvement in NASCAR Heat 2, and but yeah, at the very least, I just hope that I get to play it on a wheel and turn off all the assist and race against AI and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I hope you surprise me. I hope they have a wheel and you tell me that, man, it is night and day from the last iteration, and that'll be great. I don't want to see any of these companies fail, but we still have to have somewhat of a critical eye, especially on our end of the spectrum for our viewers that expect something more.
Yeah, and to be fair, this NASCAR Heat Series kind of goes in the same category as, like, in my opinion, as like an F1 or a Forza or GT.
The WRC series, yes.
That's right. It doesn't have to be a hardcore simulator. It just needs to be enjoyable enough to play and do a good enough job making you feel like you're driving a stock car or a Formula car or whatever cars are in these other titles. We're not asking it to be an Assetto Corsa, an iRacing, an R Factor 2, what have you.
Right.
We're not asking for that. It's just got to be enjoyable and give me the sensation that I'm racing in a NASCAR Cup car.
Yes, I agree.
So, with that, let's go ahead and move on to the last software topic, WRC 7. So, WRC7, I am not set up right now to meet with them, so I might just have to crash their booth, kind of like I did last year, and did that with a lot of booths last year as my first year. Billy, any kind of thoughts or hopes on WRC7? In my opinion, this is another title that we know very little about, and honestly, I've always kept my expectations in check with the WRC series.
Yeah, I mean, I know with our audience I was in the minority, but I really hope that they continue on the path that they were going on last year from WRC 5 to 6 in that improved graphics. I thought the handling model was much better, and if they continue to make even part of that progress again, I mean, they've got the new WRC cars, and those things are bananas, so I'm really hoping that they capture that and what it feels like to be at a rally. I mean, again, just like F1 2017, you're talking about a specific experience, just like NASCAR Heat, where that fan can come in and get that experience, and that's what they're shooting for. And I thought what WRC 6 did well was still have a nuanced handling model enough that you felt like you had to have some skill to drive quick. So, you know, if they improve that or even go further with the handling model and make it even more hardcore, I'm okay with that, because I'm sure there'll still be a way for them to have some sort of handling model or assist that will still be okay for gamepad players and players that just want to hop on for a quick race. So I'm cautiously optimistic for that title.
You know what? I'm glad you brought that up, because I actually forgot that I did a video back earlier this year that was a paid / giveaway thing we did, where I drove WRC 6, and yeah, I was actually driving it. I was kind of like, oh, this is better than WRC 5.
Oh,
this
it's a lot better, yeah.
Yeah, it's like this isn't too shabby. So I'm glad you brought that up, because I just kind of gone to my default position, because I still have WRC 5 stuck in my head, and yeah, WRC 5, especially when it first came out, there were major issues all over the place on that. But you are right. WRC 6 handling wasn't too shabby, so I agree if they keep going down that path. And then also definitely agree that even though we don't hark too hard on graphics here on a sim racing quote-unquote channel, graphics matter, and the graphics in the WRC series have been rough, and they're rough to a point where it makes it more difficult for you to drive across the stage.
Yes.
You're kind of like, where's everything at here?
Yeah, where am I going? Yeah. You're right.
Which way is the road going?
So yeah, they did a better job last year at that. A couple of things that they will have to come out of the box with that they did not with WRC 6 is multiple inputs for the PC. That was patched in later, so hopefully they've kind of, I don't want to be derogatory and say learned their lesson, but I hope that they kind of understand the fan base on a PC that they're appealing to now, and get those PC-centric things put into the title. I think it'll make people much more happy with it right out of the box.
Boy, it would be cool if they could, continue down this physics path of improvements and really honestly nail, but give you that feeling of these new 2017 cars that really are badass and are something that, because they're officially licensed, that a Dirt 4 doesn't offer. So that's
Yes.
really one way to get ahead of the machine in the rally car racing world right now that is Dirt 4, and get a fan base.
I agree. Yep.
So that's going to kind of do it for the software. Now let's go and talk quickly about the hardware. A few different topics I want to hit on.
Did you not want to talk about Project Cars 2?
Oh, I skipped Project Cars 2. We got to talk about Project Cars 2. Okay, I'm sorry.
I mean, we don't
Project
have to
Cars
talk
2.
about it.
No. We need to talk about Project Cars 2. So Project Cars 2, we just learned today that it is coming out on September 22nd, which I'm a little bit floored by, the release date being so early. I had it pinned more towards the holiday season. I guess maybe they say September 22nd now, just in case there's issues and it slides, and then it's okay.
That would be an odd strategy.
It would be an odd strategy, but yeah, I mean, games coming out on time, things slip all the time. But anyway, so September 22nd, and now we've seen a new trailer, an E3 sizzle reel that shows off some more cars and tracks. Billy, what are you hoping to see out of Project Cars at E3?
Well, they've already kind of been slowly leaking or showing off things as we've been going along since their initial announcement of Project Cars 2. So, really, it's just selling the game as far as here's all the different modes we have. Really, I guess they've kind of already outlined like how you can play, what type of online experience you can anticipate having, because they're going down the esports road more heavily, it seems like. And then the one question I have is I don't think I've really heard anything about the single-player career. And they put out a survey a while ago, I think right after Project Cars released, asking what kind of a career mode. Did you want to earn cars? Did you want it the same as it was now, where you just had access to everything? Did you want some sort of tier system where you actually really did have to work your way up and couldn't access anything until you met that goal? So I would be curious in the single player. Obviously, we want to see how the AI is working. They said they've improved the AI. I'm a big offline player, and so AI is important to myself and a bunch of other people. And that really seems to be where they put a lot of focus. I thought Project Cars looked fine to begin with in the initial one, so if they've made any improvements, great. We've also, the live track is going to be, hopefully you get your hands on the live track thing and really see how that works out.
Yeah, I think for me going hands-on with Project Cars 2 at E3, there's a few different things I want to hit on. Live track, definitely. See how that works out. See if I can stay in the seat long enough to see how that changes, or if they have different, maybe they have some settings
like
where
an
you can speed up that process.
accelerate it.
Yeah, and accelerate that. Also with time of day, I'll probably move up the sliders to accelerate that and see what that looks like, and then see if that maybe has some effect on handling with the track cooling off or heating up, etc. AI, totally agree. That's important to see. How well that has improved. Physics, a really, 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 really big one for me. Project Cars 1 physics I just didn't care for, so got to see if Project Cars 2 is catching my attention, and hoping I also try a number of different cars to see how they all compare, because a lot of times when you get these titles where you have all these different cars on offer, not all of them are equal in terms of quality. Just some are going to nail better than others. So hoping to get to check out multiple ones of those.
Right. Hopefully it's not a jack of all trades, master of none kind of thing.
Exactly. Also interesting to see if maybe they have a triple screen setup of it there at E3, because they're going to have triple screen support this year. Again, they're going to have VR support. I assume there's probably a good chance they'll have VR running, like an Oculus. I think they were partnered with Oculus in Project Cars 1. So
yes.
I'm hoping to see that and see how that runs. Project Cars 2 is, in my opinion, the hot title of the year. You listed a handful of things. I just listed a handful of things. There's a whole bunch of other things that we haven't touched. One stuff that we touched, I believe, in the third episode of Beyond the Gloves, because it was just such an extensive list of features. Because even like you said about offline playing, online playing, that's supposed to be coming up with almost kind of like an iRacing, iRating type system to try to help that out and everything. So there's just
force feedback. It was supposed to be simpler to tune your wheel and a whole list of things.
Yeah, so there's just so much of Project Cars 2, and so far everything I've seen I have liked. All these different features, all different tracks that are supposed to be either laser scanned or drone scan, which I'll have to talk to developers there and see if I can maybe drive a laser scan track or drive a drone track and see how it compares. Even I'd love to drive a track that was already in Project Cars 1, because the tracks were also something that I wasn't in love with after driving in other titles. They just felt flat and they just didn't feel right. There's just so much with Project Cars 2 to cover, and if they do nail this stuff, man, that's going to be a super popular title later this year. So yeah, Project Cars 2 is a big one on the list, even though I almost forgot it here. And hopefully I get to spend plenty of time behind the wheel. But again, we'll see. It's E3. I say I want to try all these things, but I also realize there's a good chance I'm going to get on for 10 minutes with a whole bunch of other people breathing around me, mouth breathing, wanting to go and jump on. And in 10 minutes, it's hard to really formulate too many different opinions.
Well, yeah, it's hard to make an assessment. You know, I kind of estimated in the only one that I've done as far as one of these preview type events is I really need like 3 hours with them, because they're going to give me about an hour and a half worth of information without even me touching the wheel. And then you have no time left to really, you got 10 minutes to try to drive the car. There's no chance to play with the force feedback, get it to your liking, because you're not playing with the wheel and pedal set you're accustomed to. So you don't want to make a judgment based off of what could have been fixed with an adjustment with the wheel and pedal set, you know, and then if they have the settings wrong by chance with field of view, and all these things play a big factor, more so than just a standard game title. You know, you probably only need 15 minutes to half an hour with a standard game, like first-person shooter or third-person adventure game, something like that. But when it comes to something like this, and you're really trying to get down to really give people an idea of what the title drives like, and what the UI is like, and that kind of thing, you really need a long time. And so hopefully you get to spend at least a decent amount of time with these titles and come out with at least a somewhat of an idea what they're going to offer.
I hope so. I mean, all these besides WRC7, I'm scheduled for, I guess, quote-unquote, closed-door time with them. Then again, normally those time slots are like 30 minutes.
I was going to say they're usually
some
half
are
an hour, yeah.
Hour.
Well, hopefully.
But
I mean, that'd be nice.
Yeah, so we'll see. Just hopefully get enough time where I can go and come back on the show here and really kind of give you guys an input of, you know, if things are going the right direction or not. That's kind of the biggest thing. Should we get hyped about this or not so much?
Right.
So,
all right. On the hardware.
So anyway, on the hardware quickly here, mostly, you know, E3, it's really about the software, but there's some hardware stuff that shows up from time to time, and this year is no exception. The biggest one, Thrustmaster, and are they going to be unveiling this GT Sport direct drive wheel? Is it a direct drive wheel? So this wheel was debuted back in May of 2016 at the London GT Sport event. It was under a glass case. I went to E3. It was not present. Talked to some of the reps there. Kind of, I don't even really talk to. It was kind of just like the whisper, like, you know, hey, you know, a new wheel coming. What's it called?
Give them a little bit of the elbow and.
Yeah. Is it direct drive? You know, kind of, you know, eyebrows. So it was wink.
Yeah.
So we really don't know. Even with us having a good relationship with Thrustmaster, them sponsoring the show, we don't know. They haven't told us. But anyway, and earlier this week there was a teaser put out of that same wheel that showed very little. It was very, very much a well done teaser in terms of not showing much. So I am hopeful that we will get an announcement at E3 and then a press release and images and all that good stuff of this new GT wheel. And then I'll be able to, at the very least, see it under glass.
Yeah, what do you think it is? Do
I think it's
the
drive?
GT wheel?
Oh, no, I do think it is the GT wheel.
By GT, we're saying Gran Turismo.
Yes, Gran Turismo, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, I think what it is, and some people even said, like, because if it's a direct drive wheel, it would be, you know, pretty expensive. It would probably be at, like, a TSPC Racer or above type levels. TSPC Racer is like $500.
I believe
think,
that's correct. Yes.
Off the top of my head. So people were like, that's really expensive for a wheel. But you got to remember that the T500.
I was going to say the T500 was expensive when it came out.
T500 wheel and pedal set was like $600, I think, when it
Close
came
to
out.
It. It's somewhere around there, yeah.
Gran Turismo 5 or something. So it was. I remember when it came out, I was like, "Oh my god!"
That's why I
'cause
never
that was
got
back
it.
in the world. Yeah, that was back in the world when I was driving like a Momo Black. That was like $200, or maybe it was 100. I don't remember, but it was like that's a really high price. Even going above the G25 at the time, which felt really expensive, or maybe 27. Either way. So yeah, I'm not going to necessarily be surprised it does have a high price tag to it. From what we saw last year, the footage from that GT Sport event, it looks like a really quality wheel. I mean, it looks nice. So even if it isn't direct drive, I expect it to be pricier. I wouldn't be surprised if it was called a T700, in my opinion. I wouldn't be surprised if it was called T700. Also, wouldn't be surprised if it shared something with the TSPC internals. But I will say, it does have a very different looking design in terms of the case. So maybe it doesn't.
It'll be called the T450.
A T450?
I don't know. PlayStation 4. I don't know. It sounded good.
Okay. So,
Fine, F you, buddy.
so anyway, yeah, so I am very hopeful that we'll be able to go get unveiled during E3 week to all of you guys at home, and then I'll be able to get my hands on it, because, yeah, and if, like I said, I'm leaning towards not direct drive, but if it is, then that's going to be pretty wild for a PlayStation 4 wheel, PlayStation 4, and then assume PC
Agreed.
wheel as well.
Yep.
But we shall see. So next up on hardware, E3 is going to be my first chance to get my hands on the Sparco Evolve chassis. I already talked to the guys at Sparco. I'm supposed to be getting one of those chassis here to review, but they're going to be at the Thrustmaster booth at E3. So I'm looking forward to getting my hands on that. I'll probably have a first look of my opinions of what that is. The nice thing with them being at the Thrustmaster booth, Thrustmaster normally does a nice job of kicking out all the, children around and letting me come on in and sit down and and have a drive. So maybe if they can have those
kitties.
That's right. So maybe they can have that Sparkle Evolve there, and then the new Thrustmaster wheel on top of it. That'd be great.
Yeah. It's a twofer.
Fingers crossed. And then I had one more topic I want to talk for hardware, but my computer just restarted. I lost my notes.
Sweet. Was it Logitech?
It was Logitech. I'm glad you have a memory.
Man,
so,
I remember some things. Not all, but some things.
So Logitech, earlier this year they announced a partnership with McLaren, and after that we've seen just the Logitech branding on their cars right next to the drivers' heads. Also saw it on Fernando Alonso's cars when he came and ran the Indy 500 this year.
Yep.
But later about a month ago, we then again saw Logitech wheels when McLaren announced their world's fastest gamers, which was kind of funny seeing a guy, I think their test driver, fitted up in the race suit, driving on a Sparco Evolve chassis, and then with a G29 mounted to it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Not the highest end, equipment. But with that said, I am kind of wondering if maybe Logitech has something happening along with McLaren in the video game sim racing world. So I wanted to mention that I'm hopeful that maybe we'll see something new out of Logitech. I don't know if we will. I haven't been in contact with them. And maybe this was all just a branding exercise with McLaren and doesn't have any hardware coming to fruition down the line. But I'm hopeful that maybe we'll see something new from Logitech, because it's always better when there's more competition.
Agreed.
So, Billy, anything else you want to add before we wrap up our preview look at E3?
No, nothing sim racing related. Just looking forward to State of Decay 2, if that's there. I think that'll be there, and Last of Us 2. Hopefully that's there from Sony. Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to for E3. So a bunch of racing stuff and a couple other games.
Do you get excited every year for E3 just as a general video game enthusiast outside of sim racing?
I do. It's kind of changed over the last few years because it seems like the emphasis has kind of been taken away from E3, whether it's kind of like these leaks that happen and you don't... It used to be where you couldn't get this information beforehand. So E3 was really exciting. It was almost like Christmas because you got to hear about all these games that were coming out. It was really exciting. It's not quite as exciting anymore. And then you have developers like Bethesda and a couple others doing their own press conferences. So this year's a little different because it seems like the emphasis, especially with the Scorpio and things coming out like that, is a little different. So you're just curious what you're hoping, at least, that these developers are hiding something, got something up their sleeve that you didn't know was coming. And, cross your fingers. But yeah, I still kind of get it. I mean, I watch it. I still watch all the coverage like a silly little boy. But yeah, I don't know. I'm probably never gonna grow out of it.
Well, I mean, I agree to some degree. I mean, even though, like you said, everything you said there is true, that it's become less insular, I guess you can say. Every year I'm tuning in to see the big press conferences, even with a bunch of stuff I don't play, because I don't know. It's flashy.
It's
flashy
cool.
colors.
It's cool to get excited about stuff, and it's no different than with sim racing. We when something gets like Project Cars 2, when it was announced, it's like, no way, what? I wasn't ready for that yet. So, and who knows? Maybe there'll be something sim racing related. That's a surprise. Maybe Project Cars 2 or Forza's got something up their sleeve that we don't know about yet, which that is the exciting part about E3, is the not knowing and the anticipation, hoping that you'll get to see something that they haven't talked about before.
I agree. And as we discussed here, there's a lot of things that we are going into this year that we don't know. So I will be there next week, or by the time you see this, just the following days, trying to learn all the good stuff that's going on at E3. I'm going to try to do a daily blog from E3. Don't really have the setup to do a daily video, which I would love, maybe in the future.
Just do it on your
but going
phone.
to try to do... Yeah, well, I've honestly thought about it. So I'm going to do at least a day... I'm going to at least do a daily blog, hopefully, and what I will promise is I'll be taking lots of pictures, posting it to our Instagram, and then I'll also be going out on our Facebook and our Twitter. So if you don't follow us on social media, we have the links in the description below on this video, or check out isrtv.com. We have all the links to our social media up in the right-hand corner of the website. So make sure you're following us, because I'm going to be at least live picture taking as I go throughout E3, and then I'll get back and I'm going to pound a bunch of energy drinks and edit for next week while I watch the 24 Hours Le Mans over the weekend.
Right, Angela's going to be like, why aren't you in bed yet? And you're just going to be like fists clenched, just like doing donuts on your work chair in your room.
She got to experience last year. She already knows that I'm going to go lock away for a while getting these videos out.
Come get me if I'm not out in 10 days.
That's right. So yeah, we'll have lots of good stuff coming. But gonna go ahead and wrap up the show. So thank you for watching this episode 9 of Beyond the Gloves. It's good to be back. For Billy Strange, I'm John Sable. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.